The second I spotted her car parked outside that hotel, my stomach sank. I didn't need anyone to spell it out for me. I already knew. My chest got tight. My grip on the steering wheel was so hard I half expected the thing to snap in my hands. There it was. The black Mercedes she swore had been stuck at the mechanic all week. The same damn car I had surprised her with for our anniversary. But it wasn't just the car that told the story. No, it was the way she climbed out of it, laughing like a teenager, hanging all over some tall guy in a suit. He touched her like he'd been doing it for months, like it was natural. And that, right there, froze me in place. My ears rang with my heartbeat, and whatever doubts I had before were gone. This wasn't a hunch anymore. This was undeniable. Before I could even let the anger settle into words, the night spun in another direction. Out of nowhere, a sedan came flying down the street and smashed into the side of her Mercedes. The sound of metal crunching and glass exploding ripped through the air. People screamed and scattered. That suit-wearing bastard yanked her out of the way just in time. And just like that, the night I caught my wife cheating turned into a bigger spectacle. Because she saw me. Her eyes locked on mine, wide at first, but not with fear. No, it was something else. Fury. She shoved past the crowd, storming toward me with her face twisted up like I was the one in the wrong. Not an ounce of guilt. Just pure, burning anger. I rolled down the window as she reached my car. "What the hell are you doing here, Lucas?" she snapped, venom dripping off every word. I glanced from her face to the man standing behind her, the man she'd chosen over me. My breath left slow and steady. "No, Claire," I said, cold as stone. "The real question is, what the hell are you doing here?" For a split second, I caught her mask slipping. Her eyes flickered, like I'd caught her red-handed, but it was gone almost as fast as it came. She folded her arms and scoffed. "You've lost it. What, are you following me now?" A sharp laugh broke out of me. "Following you? No, Claire. I got off work early, and what do I see? My wife sneaking out of a hotel with another man." I pointed at the wrecked Mercedes still smoking from the crash. "The same car you swore was in the shop." She didn't blink, didn't flinch, didn't even look away. "Oh, grow up, Lucas. You sound like a psycho. I was having dinner with a friend." I shifted my eyes to the guy behind her. He stood there like a deer in headlights, not saying a word. "A friend? Huh? Dinner?" I shook my head. "You're unbelievable." She smirked at me, cruel and smug. "You're pathetic." That word lit me on fire. My blood boiled over as I shoved open the car door and stepped out. Pathetic? Pathetic is sneaking around like a high school kid, thinking you're slick enough that I wouldn't catch on. She rolled her eyes and muttered, "Jesus, Lucas, this is why She caught herself. "Oh." I took a step closer. "This is why you what, Claire?" Her jaw tightened. Then, without looking at me again, she turned to the guy. "Let's go, Daniel." Daniel. So now the mystery man had a name. And from the way he froze, like he suddenly realized the weight of what he'd walked into, it was clear he knew exactly what role he played. He muttered, "Maybe we should take this somewhere else, Claire." His voice was low, unsure. Claire whipped around on him. "Don't be such a coward," she snapped. Then back at me, "Lucas, just go home. We'll talk later." I barked out a laugh. "Talk?" Claire, we're way past talking. But she was already turning her back on me, dismissing me like I was nothing more than a hiccup in her evening. And I stood there, every nerve in my body begging me to act. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Claire. "If you do anything stupid, you'll regret it." I stared at those words, my knuckles going white around the phone. She thought she could cheat on me, glare me down in public, and top it all off with a smug little threat? She had no clue who she was dealing with. I sucked in a long breath, forcing myself to keep it together. Blowing up right then and there wouldn't get me anywhere. But in my head, the puzzle pieces were sliding into place. The late nights, the business trips, the way she pulled away from me for months. It had all been there, and I'd been too damn blind to see it. I turned back to the wrecked Mercedes. Poetic, really. Her precious car smashed to hell, just like the little fantasy world she thought she had built. I could have walked away, could have swallowed it and dealt with her later, behind closed doors. But then she made the mistake of glancing back at me. That smirk on her lips, it cut me deeper than anything else she'd done. Like she'd already won. Like I was nothing but the fool in her game. That smirk flipped a switch inside me. I started walking toward her, slow and deliberate. She stopped at Daniel's car, watching me with that same bored look. "What now, Lucas?" she sighed. Daniel shifted beside her, uneasy. Clearly, he hadn't signed up for this kind of drama. I stopped just a few feet away, staring right at him. "Does your wife know?" His face drained of color. "Got him." Claire stiffened instantly. "You're being ridiculous," she snapped. I didn't even look at her. "Let me guess, Daniel, late nights, business trips, working overtime. That sound familiar?" I tilted my head. "Funny. That's exactly what Claire used to tell me." His throat bobbed, his hands twitching at his sides. He had a wife, all right, and now it was sinking in how deep he'd dug himself. I smiled. "What do you think happens when I send her a message?" Claire spun toward me, her voice sharp as glass. "Don't you dare." "Oh, I dare, sweetheart." I unlocked my phone with one swipe. "In fact, I think she deserves to hear it straight from me." Daniel panicked. "Look, Sophia." I cut him off with a hand. "Shut it, Daniel. You made your bed. Time to lie in it." Claire was seething. "Lucas, if you send that, I swear." "What, Claire?" I stepped closer, lowering my voice to a growl. "You'll cheat harder?" Her eyes blazed with hatred. No guilt, no shame. Just venom. I smirked. "Good. Then we're even." And with one tap, I hit send. The second the message went out, Claire lunged at me, claws out. I was ready. I yanked my phone back, stepping away as she scratched at me like some wild animal. "You bastard!" she screamed. "You think this is funny?" I slipped the phone into my pocket and laughed under my breath. "No, Claire. I think this is justice." Daniel looked like he might throw up right there on the sidewalk. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone, probably praying his wife hadn't seen the message yet. Too late. The buzz came, and whatever he read drained the last bit of color from his face. Claire turned on him in a heartbeat, her voice suddenly sweet and soft. "Don't listen to him, baby," she cooed, trying to reel him back in. "We can fix this." I couldn't help but laugh. "Baby," I mocked. "Oh, that's rich. You call him that in bed, too?" Her answer came in the form of spit. She spat at me. Not words, actual spit. It hit the pavclarant near my shoe, and for a moment, I just stared at her, stunned. "You're disgusting," I muttered. Her lip curled into a sneer. "And you're pathetic." Daniel was already fumbling with his keys like a kid trying to sneak out past curfew, desperate to get away before his entire life came crashing down. Claire whipped around and latched onto his arm. "You're not leaving me, are you?" she purred, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "You know I love you." I damn near doubled over laughing. "Wow, that's rich," I said, clapping my hands slow and mocking. "That's the exact same line you used when you begged me to marry you." Daniel yanked his arm free just as his phone rang. He froze, then answered, his voice shaky. "Hey, baby." The sound of his wife's screeching came through the speaker so loud even I winced. Claire's mask cracked. Panic flashed across her face. "Daniel, hang up. We can fix this," she begged, clawing for control. But he shoved her back. His whole body clarbled. "No, we can't," he snapped. "You told me you were done with him. You promised." He turned on me, chest heaving. "You two were still together?" I grinned like a man who'd been waiting for this exact moment. "Together? Try married. 5 years. I paid for her car, her apartment, her little getaways. You're welcome, buddy." Daniel's face went green like he might throw up right there in the parking lot. His wife's voice was still blasting through the phone, and it was obvious he had no idea how to handle any of it. He turned away, staggering toward his car. Claire lost it completely. "Daniel, don't you dare walk away from me," she screamed, her voice shrill. "We love each other." But he didn't even look back. He slammed his door and peeled out of there, tires squealing as he disappeared into the night. Silence fell. For the first time, Claire had no comeback. I let out a long breath, the weight in my chest lifting for the first time in months. "Guess that makes 2 of us without a spouse," I said. Her head whipped toward me, eyes wild and burning. "This isn't over, Lucas." I smirked. "Oh, sweetheart." I turned toward my car. "It's just getting started." Claire was shaking now, fists clenched tight, her face twisted with pure rage. I'd never seen her stripped bare like this. No charm, no fake sweetness, just the raw, ugly truth of who she really was. I opened my car door, but she wasn't finished. You think you won? She spat. You think this little stunt means anything? I'll make sure you regret this, Lucas. You'll lose everything. I leaned back against the door, calm as ever. I already lost everything the moment I trusted you. Her laugh was bitter and sharp. Oh, please. You weren't some perfect husband, Lucas. You were boring, predictable. A pathetic little man who thought throwing money at me was the same as love. That one stung. Not because it was true, but because it clarifyed me just how unworthy she'd been from the start. I smiled anyway. Yeah? Then why'd you work so hard to keep me in the dark? Why sneak around, lie, and cover your tracks if I was so worthless to you? For the first time all night, she hesitated. That silence told me everything. I let it hang before pulling my phone from my pocket. By the way, I recorded all of this. Her eyes widened. You're bluffing. I tapped the screen, and her own voice filled the air, her screaming at Daniel, admitting the affair, hurling insults at me. Every ugly word, clear as day. The blood drained from her face. You can't use that. Oh, but I can, I said, locking my phone. And I will. My lawyer's going to eat this up. She lunged for me, but I stepped aside, and she stumbled past like a drunk. Good luck explaining all this in court, I said, sliding into my car. She stood there breathing hard, her whole world collapsing piece by piece. I rolled down the window before leaving. By the way, Claire. Her eyes shot fire at me. I smirked. I hope he was worth it. Then I hit the gas and left her standing in the wreckage of her own choices. The road blurred under my headlights as I drove. My hands were tight on the wheel, my pulse still pounding, but it wasn't grief anymore. That part was gone. What filled me now was something sharper, cleaner. Freedom. Claire's hold on me was broken. When I pulled into the driveway of our house, my house now, it felt different. Lighter. Like the air itself wasn't weighed down by her lies anymore. I walked through the living room, past the couch where she used to fake affection, past the kitchen where she once laughed while cooking. All of it had been a performance, and now the curtain had finally dropped. My phone buzzed. A message from her. Lucas, let's talk, please. I stared at the screen and shook my head. Even now, she still thought she could manipulate me. I tossed the phone on the counter and went to the bedroom. The bed was neatly made, her side untouched. How many nights had I laid there wondering what I'd done wrong? Beating myself up? While she was out doing God knows what. Not anymore. I dragged a suitcase out of the closet and started throwing clothes inside. She expected me to sit around, broken, waiting for her to ruin me? Not a chance. The phone buzzed again. Lucas, don't do anything stupid. We need to talk. This time I chuckled. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried because she had lost control. I ignored her and kept packing. A few minutes later, headlights cut across the window. Tires screeched to a stop in the driveway. My stomach sank. She was here. The pounding on the door started almost immediately. Lucas, open the door. I sighed, walking over, but didn't open it. Go home, Claire. Her voice rose, sharp and shrill. I swear to God, Lucas, if you don't open this door. I swung it open, and there she was, hair wild, eyes desperate. Not broken, not sorry. Furious. You're not leaving, she growled, shoving her way inside. I smirked. Looks like I am. Her eyes darted to the suitcase by the couch. Where the hell do you think you're going? I folded my arms across my chest. Away from you. She let out a harsh laugh. You're so dramatic. You think you're the victim here? I stepped closer, my voice low and steady. I don't think I'm the victim, Claire. I know I am. She opened her mouth, ready to argue, but I cut her off with a finger pointing at the door. Get out, she scoffed. You're kicking me out of our house? I smiled, slow and cold. You mean my house? Bought and paid for by me? Yeah, Claire. I am. For the first time that night, she faltered. I saw the cracks in her armor. Lucas, she started, her voice softer, almost pleading. Let's calm down. We can talk. I pulled out my phone, holding it up like a weapon. I've got the recording. I've got proof. Everything I need to make sure you walk away with nothing. Her face twisted in fury. You wouldn't. I smiled back. Try me. And just like that, the fire in her eyes shifted. For the first time, she looked scared. Not because she was sorry, Not because she cared, but because she knew she'd finally lost. Claire's fists clenched tight at her sides, her jaw locking as she glared at me. All that fake sweetness she used to wear like a mask, all that manipulative charm she leaned on whenever things got rough, it was gone. What stood in front of me now was just a woman who played the wrong game and finally lost. "You're making a mistake, Lucas," she hissed, her voice clarbling with anger. I laughed short and sharp, leaning against the doorframe. "A mistake? That's rich. Coming from the woman who blew our marriage to pieces in a hotel parking lot." She stepped closer, dropping her voice low like she still believed she had some kind of control over me. "You don't have to do this. We've built a life together. You don't just throw that away over one mistake." I arched an eyebrow. "One mistake?" I scoffed. "Claire, don't insult me. I wasn't blind. I just chose to ignore it. The late nights, the work trips, the way you'd roll your eyes every time I reached for you. That wasn't an accident. That was a pattern." I shook my head slowly. "No, this wasn't a mistake. It was a choice you made again and again." Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but I didn't give her the chance. "You lied to me, used me, humiliated me." I stepped forward, closing the space between us. "And now you're done. You don't get to cry your way out of this. You don't get to play the victim." For the first time, she looked shaken. Her throat bobbed as she swallowed, but then she lashed out like a cornered animal. "Fine," she spat, her face twisted in rage. "You want to act like you're innocent, like you were some perfect husband? Please. You were boring, predictable. A weak little man who thought buying me things would keep me around." I let the words roll off me. She wanted me to snap, to lose it, to give her something to twist later. Instead, I smiled calm, steady, unshaken. "Funny," I said, tilting my head. "If I was so weak, why were you so damn scared of me finding out?" And there it was. The flicker. That tiny flash in her eyes where the doubt broke through. She wasn't running this anymore. Her phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced down at the screen, and I knew immediately who it was. Daniel's wife. I smirked. Guess I wasn't the only one sending messages tonight. Her face went pale, panic edging into her voice. "Lucas." I shrugged. "Actions have consequences, Claire." She opened her mouth, desperate for words, but nothing came. Years of lying, twisting, spinning stories to suit her needs, and now she had nothing left. Nothing but the truth staring her dead in the face. I stepped back and pulled the door open wider. "You should go." She blinked. "You're serious? You're actually serious?" Her eyes darted around, searching for an escape hatch, some trick to turn it around. But there wasn't one. She clenched her jaw hard. "You'll regret this." I chuckled and shook my head. "No, Claire, you will." She snatched her purse off the counter and stormed toward the door. As she passed me, she muttered like poison under her breath. "You're pathetic." I didn't flinch. Not anymore. She stepped outside but turned back one last time, fire in her eyes. "This isn't over, Lucas." I met her glare with nothing but ice. "Yeah, it is." And I slammed the door in her face. The silence that followed was deafening, but not clarity. For the first time in years, there was no pretending, no second-guessing, no walking on eggshells wondering if I'd done something wrong. I leaned against the door, let out a long breath, and realized something shocking. My hands weren't shaking. My breathing was steady. I wasn't broken. I wasn't crushed under the weight of it all. What I felt instead was freedom. Claire was gone. Her lies, her manipulation, the suffocating poison she dragged into my life. It was all over. I walked back through the house, looking at it with new eyes. My house, finally mine again. Not a stage where I played the fool, acting the part of the doting husband while she ran off to live her double life. My phone buzzed. For a second, I expected another desperate plea from her. But when I checked, it wasn't. It was from Daniel's wife. One word. "Thank you." I smirked, shaking my head. Claire wasn't the only one whose world had blown apart tonight. I set the phone down, grabbed a bottle of whiskey from the cabinet, and poured myself a glass. Dropping onto the couch, I let the cushion swallow me, and for the first time in years, I actually felt like I could breathe. No more excuses. No more lies. No more fighting for someone who never once fought for me. She thought she'd leave me broken. On my knees, begging, trying to patch up something that had been shattered beyond repair. But I wasn't broken. I was brand new. I lifted the glass, let the whiskey burn warm down my throat, and smiled to myself. She was right about one thing: this wasn't over. Not for her. Because while I was moving forward, free at last, she'd have to spend the rest of her days choking on the knowledge that she lost the only man who ever gave a damn about her. And that was her real punishment. I raised the glass high, a private toast to the Clarepty room. To freedom. And for the first time in a long time, I meant it.